Hello and welcome to another episode of the Jimmy Rex Show. And today on the podcast, I sit down with a good buddy of mine, Mr. Sae Tautu. Did I say it right? Close enough. I know. I'm trying to look at it as like that. But the thing I love about Sae, man, I met this guy through the coaching program We're the Day that obviously I'm running. And you meet people that are just natural leaders. And this is a guy that's who he is. And he's a former football player, played with the Saints, played at BYU. We'll get into his journey a little bit with all of that. But above everything else, he's just one of those dudes you just like, when you meet somebody, you're just like, this is just a dude I want to hang out with, the dude I want to be friends with. And that is who Sae is. And so super excited to sit down with him today and jam. And let's get to the show. Also, today's podcast is brought to you by Bucked Up Protein. This is my favorite go-to right now for protein. It's 100 calories and 25 grams of protein in every can. And so this is something if you're trying to get that summer body or you're trying to clean up your diet a little bit, this is a really good way to get your protein in without many calories. So go check it out at Bucked Up, wherever you can buy their supplements. Dude, Sae, good to be here, man.
Hey, thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, dude. It's fun, man. When you played at BYU, it was this weird time frame where I just wasn't quite as engaged. I had just been super engaged. And so it's like I have these memories of you playing and everything, but it's not like I don't have like that one moment where I remember, we didn't really get to know each other very well, minus I guess your recruiting trip a little bit.
Yeah, man. I mean, we've talked a little bit. I knew who you were because, you were friends with a lot of the guys on our team that I looked up to, but we definitely missed each other. Probably missed a lot of good times.
I know, dude. In hindsight, I think we missed an opportunity there.
It's all good though.
We were supposed to be adult friends, Oh,
100%.
I mean, I was an adult then, but a different kind of adult,
100%.
Well, I'd love to get into your story. You have a pretty cool story about like just playing football. And I think one of the hardest things I've noticed with a lot of my buddies that play at a high level, play football. I mean, dude, you're picturing, you're playing football in front of 65, sometimes more, 1,000 people. It's probably pretty tough to find what is going to get your soul moving after having experiences like that, after being around the elite performers and athletes that you are at those levels. And I can imagine, I know in your case, it really set you back, but maybe let's start there, man. Just dive in.
Yeah, I mean, football's it's weird, dude, because when you get into it, like if you want to play at a high level, you have to put all your eggs in that basket. Like you got to give it your all. There's not really a backup plan. Everybody says to have one, but the guys that do it, they know like there's not a backup plan. But what I've kind of learned is it gave me a purpose, and it was a passion that it drove me. It was something I loved. And, I was borderline obsessed over it for 20 something years. So yeah, when that comes crashing to an end, like you don't just like lose the game you like. It's like your whole identity is tied to it. It's interesting, like in my professional life, I've worked a lot with surgeons and doctors, and it's a similar thing where you see these guys at the end of their career, like retirement's really hard for them because they're known as a surgeon. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing as a football player. Like you're known as an athlete. So when that comes to an end, it's never on your timeline unless you're like Tom Brady or something, and you get to walk off on top. But for the vast majority of us, like, it's an injury. It's being cut.
Did yours catch you off guard?
Yes and no. Yes, because I got injured. My story is I signed with the Saints as a free agent. I was in the best shape of my life, man. Like the cool thing about the NFL that sets it apart from college is like you don't have class. You don't have responsibility other than to just play football.
You forget that, like college kids, they still got to do class and everything on top of football, and some of them do another thing. Yeah, now they got money.
But back then, like, dude, we didn't have any money. So, as far as like keeping a diet and doing all that stuff, like, no, you just played football. You obviously had resources to get better at it, but the NFL is cool because your one job is to play the game, and they have food, they have supplements, they have everything is available to you to make you play the game well. So when you get to that level, like gaining muscle is really easy. It's your only job. Running faster is really easy. It's your only job to focus on. So yeah, dude, I was feeling the best I'd ever felt in my life. Finally there, my dreams are kind of right in front of me, and you know, it was a rainy day outside, slick surface. If you know New Orleans, dude, it's like brutal, but it's rainy and then it's sunshine. It's kind of like I went to high school in Hawaii for a little bit. Same kind of thing. Every day it kind of rains.
Got it. Yeah. Up. Yeah. It's very fast.
Yeah. And we were just doing a drill, and I planted, my feet kind of slipped, and my front cleat caught the grass before my back one did, and my knee just twisted and buckled. I ended up tearing my MCL, which is a pretty minor injury, like compared to everything else that could have happened. But as a free agent, like
yeah, that's it.
Yeah, you got one shot.
Yeah. They say that a lot of players don't even, they try to play through some pretty nasty injuries, because if you're on the verge of getting cut, I mean, if you get injured, you're gone. It's pretty ruthless.
So this is the tight line you got to walk, though, because you can fake like you're okay, but then they can cut you. And like, if they find out you're injured before you tell them they're injured, and that's like documented, you can get cut. The second it's documented, you have to go to injury, you have to go to IR. They have to pay you a settlement or keep you there. Like you're protected a little bit by the PA at that point. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's this tightrope you got to walk. That's like, do I fake like I'm okay and run the risk of not getting paid, or do I tell them I'm hurt and secure the bag? Like, what do you do? But yeah, nobody really sees that side of the NFL till you're there. And like getting cut in the NFL, it's not like a big profound experience. Like they don't like bring you in and talk to you about it and tell you where you could have done better.
How did they tell you?
They didn't. Like you just go to scan into the locker room and your fingerprint doesn't
No, you're
register.
kidding me, right? That's it? That's
no, you get
we ain't got time for nothing.
No, you get a call from your agent. They're like, hey, you've been cut. Like, it's wild, dude.
Dude, that's crazy. I mean, obviously that's not for everybody, but for a free agent, that's it.
Dude, it's cutthroat.
Holy cow.
So yeah, man, it was like back to where I was emotionally. Like I was pursued this my whole life. I had this purpose my whole life, this passion my whole life. I was in the best shape of my whole life. Felt like I should have been in my prime. This should have been the time. And then, in a single instant, it's gone. So yeah, man, you get out of that and it's like, what now?
So what happened in your case?
In my case, dude, I got really I didn't even know what depression was at the time, if I'm being honest. Like as an athlete, you just taught like strength.
Well, and that's one nice thing about sports too, is it allows you, I mean, when you're playing sports, it's probably the best way to get rid of depression. Like it helps you with all those things, right?
Yeah, because you have kind of like with what? You have outlets. A tribe, you have brothers, you have people you can depend on, and then you're releasing endorphins like crazy. Mm-hmm. Hitting people is fun.
Well, yeah, and it takes out a lot of anger and stress and everything else.
100%. And then when that's gone, it's just, yeah, there's just nothing that steps in. And like you said at the beginning, when you're used to playing in front of tens of thousands of people, millions of people on TV, like that's kind of like the pinnacle of an adrenaline rush. And the bigger the game, that's the only way you can push that higher. And when it's over, you're just like, so what do I do now? Go sit at a fucking desk?
Right.
Like it gets lame. But yeah, I got pretty depressed, man. And
were you already married at that time?
I was married.
Okay.
We had 2 kids.
Dang, so you had extra stress.
Yeah, that was the other hard part, is like knowing I got cut and then knowing that I'd put all my eggs in this basket.
Because you didn't make really any money up to that point as a free agent. I mean, made very minimal.
Yeah, very minimal. Like
basically enough to pay your agent for the training he gave you.
Yeah, pay the agent. It got us like 3 months of living expenses. And dude, I was fresh out of college. Like our living expenses was like our apartment,
cell phone.
Yeah, cell phone, a couple groceries. It was, yeah. So we came out with almost nothing. Ultimately, that's why I stopped playing, is like we ran out of money. I was trying to get back in shape and train and stay at it, but like, I didn't have the luxury of sleeping on my buddy's couch for a couple years and making it work. So I had to choose to walk away to support a family. And I think that's where some of that depression came in, is there's definitely some resentment there for a while. And I felt guilty for having the resentment. So it was just it's an interesting one. I had, it's not really the same, but kind of, I was talking to somebody, this is probably, 12, 13
years ago. I was trying to decide if I should stay in this relationship. And I truly was only going to stay in the relationship because I didn't want to hurt her. Like I knew how painful it was going to be to break up. Right. And he kind of gave me some really good advice that just hit for me. But he's like, anytime we stay in something or we build that we know we don't want to do, or same thing in your case, it's a little bit different, but if something's taken from us that we didn't want, wasn't really our choice yet, like you still kind of wanted to probably give it another go, but you kind of had to step away because of your family and all these different things. If that builds up resentment. And so in my case, it was like, when he said that, he said, well, you'll actually end up resenting this person and you'll treat her poorly and it's going to cause you to act differently. And then you're going to be a much bigger problem and cause much more pain in the long run. And so I was like, oh, but like, for you, it's this dream that you kind of feel like you can't go after anymore. And I can imagine you'd get pretty resentful in that situation.
Yeah, 100%. I've said 100% so many times. I would say that a lot, but that's true. That's exactly what happened. But on top of that, like, dude, we got married super young. We both grew up in the church, in the Mormon church. I was like 20, almost 22. Yeah. I just turned 22.
You're a baby, bro.
Yeah, what? That's wild. I was a kid. And then we had kids really quick. I can go on with opinions about that, but that was hard.
Well, wait, I think that is important information to share. Like, in hindsight, was that too hard, or was that the right way to do it for you? I mean,
in hindsight, I love my life and I love the way things have worked out. So I'd take it over and over again.
But it sure made it a lot harder. Is that what you're saying?
Like, you don't know anything when you're 22. Like, I just got home from my Mormon mission a year before. Like, I had no idea what my credit score was. Like, I had no idea I didn't even know what the words emotional intelligence meant. I didn't know what my own shit I was processing was. And then I went and took on a spouse's and decided to have kids and be responsible for other people. Like, that's a wild, it's wild, man.
And I think there's a double-edged sword to that, because I mean, you learned it probably so much faster than I did, for example, because you were forced to. You were in the fire. You had to learn how to deal with all these different things, right?
Yeah, for sure.
In my case, I always felt like I wasn't ready yet, or I was like, so I kind of looked at it the other way, but I think it takes you a lot longer to learn a lot of the lessons when you're on your own. And so there is the benefit of getting married younger, that you just get forced to figure it out. And the beauty in your case is you and your wife have, you've built through and here's something that I learned, dude. Everybody, like every relationship just goes through a hard time. When I was younger, I truly thought that you just find a relationship, like the right woman was the one you don't fight with, or the one that you just don't have problems with. I really thought that. And now as I've gotten older and I've learned a few things, I'm like, oh no, you want the person that's going to test you and force you to level up and force you to look at yourself in ways you don't like. And it doesn't feel good and it's uncomfortable. Now there's a lot of love and support to go with it. But I think that's kind of the gift that you've got. It's probably why you're just such a natural leader now. I mean, how old are you now?
I turned 33.
So you're literally 10 years younger than me. And dude, like I'm literally prepping you now, and we're, mentoring you to be a leader in We Are the They, where you're going to be able to take your own group in a year from now. And that kind of leadership, dude, when I was 22, I was such an idiot, dude. I'm so grateful I didn't get married young. I would have been the worst husband ever. I would have been the worst dad ever. I would have been terrible. At 33, I would have had 34, call it whatever. I would have had zero business running any kind of group, dude. I mean, I'm barely qualified now. But and so I do think that doing those things is a huge advantage, a huge gift, because it just forces you to level up so fast.
Yeah, that's so true. And it's funny, this might be a weird place to take this conversation, but this was something I was actually thinking about this morning, is like, today's a weird day. We have California is
it's weird,
on fire. Like, who knows
World War III is about to break out. I mean, Israel's trying to get us all killed. Yeah.
Like, this is a really, really weird time in the world. Mm-hmm. And I was just scrolling through Twitter, and like video after video is like gut wrenching. But like, I kept thinking about this principle, like the as above, so below, right? And thinking about that in like this circumstance we're in right now, like, the world is reflecting us as human beings, us at like the soul level. like the problems that are happening that are being seen. It's the same problems we're facing every single day at an individual level. I mean, you look at like the tyrannical type of leadership that is prevalent all over the world right now. Like that's the imbalance of masculinity in men at a personal level. You look at, just this complete disorganization and lack of strategy and lack of competence. And it's the same thing we face individually in our own lives, like the inability to just stick to a structure, to discern what's right and wrong. But yeah, I don't know, man. We were in a weird time, but I don't even know what got me on this tangent.
One of the things that I've been, I mean, look, it's been on everybody's mind. I do a really good job normally of not reading the news or watching the news and things like that. And I, actually did a social media fast for a month of the whole month of May, which was awesome. Highly recommend. And today I caught myself. I couldn't get off of Twitter and then YouTube. And I was but I really think we're in deep shit. And so I'm like, one of the things that I come back to, I think this is maybe where you're going a little bit, is when the world's chaos around us, you better be dialed in inside. Like you got to keep your own house in order, because if you got your own shit taken care of, it's all good.
Yeah.
I mean, it just is. But if not, it feels really, because there's no certainty in your life. There's no structure, like you said, in your life. And so it's going to feel really chaotic. And so one thing that's been really cool, I've really got my routines down. I've gotten settled into my house, and I'm feeling really confident, like internally. And so when I look at all of it, I'm just like, all right, like, I guess let's see what happens one way or another.
No, there's two thoughts though. Like on one hand, when we are facing the fire personally, like when I was going through my time in the NFL and exiting the NFL, trying to be a new father, battling marriage issues, there's a whole plethora of things that was going on that forced me to grow. Mm-hmm. It was either grow or run, right? And the state that the world's in right now, the only way I can look at this with like a positive attitude is like, as above, so below. We're forced to grow right now. Like the world is a mess. The earth knows what's going on. Like consciousness has to raise. We have to become better. We have to become more loving. It's the same fire that forges us as individuals. That's what we're seeing right now at a mass scale.
Yeah, Tony Robbins has a quote that he says that I love. He says, breakthroughs oftentimes look like breakdowns. And it's because like when things aren't working, they have to break, right? A lot of the stuff that we're seeing now, it's mostly just being exposed. It's always been going on. And so it kind of, even though it feels like there's more chaos than ever, it's probably part of the healing of having it come to light so that we can, find a better way to do it all. And that's kind of what's hopeful for me. I'm just, I think just certain things that I think people were naive to before, they're not anymore. I mean, how many people do you know right now that want to be at war in the United States? I don't know anybody.
Yeah, I don't know anybody.
Dude, when Iraq and all that went down, how many people wanted to be at war? Everyone I knew. I remember my dad coming into the house and he was just so ecstatic about war. And he's like, we all thought that was a righteous cause. We flew our flags and thought that was what we should be doing. And now I feel like the world is much more open. You see like the war, like I saw, we've all seen the babies getting flown all over the place in Gaza. And then like this morning, the missile attack, and you're like, oh, those are apartment buildings. Like those are real people. Like, what are we doing? And like war is, one thing I love about today's society, because I hate a lot of things about the modern AI and social media and all those things. One thing I do love is it shows the horribleness of war. Like, I don't think we truly understand how horrible war is. In the United States, we've been protected from. We haven't had a war on our soil since since the Civil War, and so we don't have any clue. When you're watching people that and places you've been be blown up around you. I've been to Bosnia and Serbia and some of these places that have been at war. I've been to Moldova, and I've been to a lot of these, Russia. I've been to a lot of these places, and all of a sudden, like, war's a real thing, and you realize the horribleness of it, and it's just never hit American soil. So I think we're pretty naive, and you can just watch it on TV and you're thinking like, oh, okay. But that's, to go back to the point, man, I think a lot of this is, I do think it's part of a healing somehow, kind of like what you said, a waking up, but it's.
Yeah. It just mirrors like the individual experience in such a weird way. I think another thing that I was thinking about today, regarding the same thing is us here in America, where we're allowed to like think and evolve and wake up, like to lead, to be a positive influence, to love. Like, we're allowed to do that here. We don't get killed for having opinions. We don't get kicked out for, being different. Like, we have to take advantage of that, man.
Yeah. There's nowhere else like it. I mean, if the United States truly is the only melting pot, if you go to Mexico, it's full of Mexicans. If you go to Japan, it's full of Japanese people. If you go to China, it's full of Chinese people. Like, America is the only place where everything's blending. And I think it causes a lot of our problems here because we're all trying to learn how to live with each other.
Hodgepodge.
It is, dude. And so it's, some of the problems that I like when other countries criticize America, I'm like, yeah, it must be real nice when 98% of your people are the same ethnicity. You don't have to because people are just afraid of what they don't know. So if people don't look like, we're tribal humans, and so people tend to favor things that look like them or act like them or whatever. And so it's just fascinating. I mean, running a men's group, I've had this newfound respect when you're balancing so many things at once, right? Yeah. You're trying to hold space for people. You're trying to help people grow. You're trying to challenge people, but you're also trying to support people. And it's given me this newfound respect for just, social dynamics in general and how that, it just is. And the thing that I just laugh, I'm like, man, it's actually just really hard. It's not easy to balance all this stuff. I can only imagine some of these, world leaders that are trying to do it on a national level.
That is interesting. And you have a unique perspective on it because no two guys are the same in the group. And I mean, we have had 50 in ours. You got, 7 now?
The 7th one will be launching in about a month, yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of guys, a lot of different personalities, a lot of different perspectives. So the fact that you run it as flawlessly as you do, and on your end, you're probably not thinking it's flawless. On my end, as somebody that's participating, like, this is badass. I don't know how you run it like this, but
I give myself a lot of grace because, and I even look from groups 1 and 2 to now, like I do so many things so different, and it's going to be fun to, as we, get closer and I'm mentoring you more and more to do a group on your own. It's cool. Like, there's things that, some of the biggest lessons I've learned was I cared too much at one point. Like, I needed it to be a certain thing. I had these expectations, and it's just like in life. I'm sure you did this as a parent or in your marriage, right? It's like when you need something to be a certain way, or you have these expectations, or you're pouring so much in, you need it to be done your way. Like, that's where all the pain comes from. For me, I had so many times I can look back now at the other groups, and I'm just like, oh, I didn't know it. But it was because I cared so much. And it's like, well, I guess, I think that's why we give our parents so much grace. We're like, yeah, they made some mistakes, but it's because they cared. Oh, yeah. Like, maybe my dad was an asshole sometimes, but he was trying to help. He was trying to protect me or whatever,
Yeah, the second you become like a parent and you see all the ways you're screwing up and trying, you sit there and realize, like, damn, they just did the best they freaking could. that's what all this was them trying to do really good.
I think everyone has that moment at some point. I actually say, you know this, we've been through this part of the program, but the moment that a guy realizes that his dad was doing the best he could and he doesn't wish it was any different, that's the day that you go from a boy to a man. Yeah. Like, you quit blaming your dad for anything. That's such a beautiful moment in a person's life, a man's life, when he just finally realizes, you know what? I'm done blaming my dad. I am going to take full responsibility for my life, for better or worse. And that is the day. I think, like, women naturally go through, when they become a woman, they start going through, having periods and that kind of stuff. That's like when a girl becomes a woman, I think. When a guy becomes a man is when he realizes and quits blaming his father for anything.
Yeah. Well, you brought up accountability, and I think accountability is it's probably the most important principle. If you want to be happy, like, you have to take accountability for what's going on, because then you take the power.
I know.
Then you're the one that can make the difference.
Well, dude, and it's every single one of us, we do control how we feel about any situation. It's the Viktor Frankl quote, and I say it all the time, but the last of the human freedoms is our ability to choose how we feel about any given situation, how we react to it. There's a person, I was just on the phone with somebody in your group, and he was, And he was like, how do I handle this situation? Basically, there's this guy and he's super bitter about all these things and he's saying all these things. I was like, look, I always just own my truth, and if I don't want to be around somebody for whatever reason, I'm going to give them a chance to make it right first. It's like, hey man, your energy, and the person was playing victim and trying to blame other people for things. And to your point, the reason why accountability is so important is the second you start playing the victim, or the second you start thinking somebody else is the problem, or you're bad talking other people, the second you do that, you're giving up the power to change it because you're outsourcing where the pain comes from. And it's like, if it's not my fault, then you don't feel like you can fix it. But if you go, you know what, where's my responsibility in this? How is this my fault? And the second you do that, you get to change it and you get power back over it. And that's why it's so powerful.
Yeah, totally. I agree with that. I think another part of that is like decisiveness. Like being a man, part of being masculine is being decisive. Mm-hmm. And I think it's the book, The Way of the Superior Man, talks about, like, that's why women can't decide where they want to eat. It's because it's a masculine trait. You're supposed to be the one to choose where to eat, kind of thing.
Yeah, they'd rather, they can, but they'd rather you just do it, right, for the most part, unless they just like literally have a certain spot they want. Right.
But it's funny, my daughter plays rugby, and this ties into what you were just talking about, but she's a really good athlete, man. She's fast, she's strong, she's smart. Well, she got the ball and she was running and she was like going like really slow and just looked like she was panicking. And I was like, dude, what are you doing? And so I helped coach the team. So she came off the field and I was like, I know you're faster than that. Like, what are you doing? And she's like, everybody's yelling at me. They're all saying, pass the ball, pass the ball, pass the ball. And I had a cool little teaching opportunity on the sideline there to be like, look, it's vital in sports that you are decisive, because if you're choosing when to pass the ball, like, one, you can go full speed and it's your choice. Two, if somebody intercepts that ball, if it gets dropped, if it's a bad pass, whose fault is it? She's like, mine. I go, if you're just panicking and running slow and just throw the ball up, whose fault is it? If you're not deciding to own that decision, whose fault is it? She's like, nobody. And I was like, okay, so who fixes it? She said, nobody. And I said, all right, now take that whole lesson and go do it in rugby and remember that for life, because that's one of my good ones.
Dude, it's so true, though. Being decisive is so important, man. You are better off, in all of the gurus on Twitter or online that talk about this stuff, like the Alex Hormozis and all of the, all the people that basically teach this, they all say the same thing. You're better off making any choice, even if it's the wrong choice, than getting paralyzed by no choice. One thing that I think I do pretty well is I pivot off my choices really fast. I'll make a decision.
You do that.
If I'm going the wrong way, all right, let's go the next direction. Like, I'm not attached to that. And so it helps me a lot, because when it can hurt me when like dating and things like that, but that's how you end up where I'm at. But in other parts of life, it's actually really valuable, because you don't get stuck in a spot and you're not afraid of making bad decisions. I had one of the gifts of my life, dude, was when I was in my early 20s, I did a couple businesses. I did a TV show. I had a door-to-door meat selling business. I had a Christmas light business. I did all these things. And to be honest, they all failed financially. But what was cool is everybody, where I went, people would be giving me accolades for all these things I was doing. And they thought it was so cool. So even though financially they were failures, and I knew that, I saw how it, like, people were not impressed, but I guess you just respected me for it.
Yeah.
And so I got rewarded for my failures, which is a very rare thing to get. Most people don't. And so my quote unquote failures, right? And so I kind of fell in love with this idea of like, oh, it's fine to fail. Like, so many people get so afraid to fail. And dude, I'm telling you, I got my first 7 or 8 things I tried, I lost my ass, and it didn't matter. Everybody was like, Jimmy's like really going for it. Look how cool this is. Look who we just met. Look at this. And I was enjoying it. It was like, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm not afraid of failure. And so people are like, how do you just go for it? And not like, that's it. It just, I got rewarded for failing early on. And so one of my favorite stories I've read was Sarah Blakely. She's the first ever self-made billionaire woman. Wow. And she invented Spanx, married to Jesse Itzler. And her dad, every day she came home from school, would ask her, what did you fail at today? It's such a good question, dude. We're so afraid of like failing or looking bad. And on the football field, if you're afraid to like make a mistake, you're screwed, just like your daughter. Yep. But if you can just send it, nobody wants to play against that person. They're a menace,
It's interesting, man. We talked about this. I think it was like the first time we really talked was on a walk. And I was telling you about all of my freaking investment failures, dude. And our stories kind of parallel each other.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And for so long, I was like so embarrassed about these failures. And I'm like, man, am I stupid? Like, I feel like I got a good head on my shoulders. But like you said, I kind of wear those like a badge of honor now because it was the training ground, man. Like,
it just sucks that you have to learn those lessons that way.
Yeah.
But man, you learn them. Yeah.
Well, and you learn that, like, for me, it was like a money lesson, like not even how to use money, but just like the attachment you have to it. Like for me, it was, are you really going to let money be the reason why your entire demeanor is down, why you're so stressed, why you're not showing up in other areas? Are you really going to tie money to all of those things? Because you don't need money to work out and stay in shape. Like, you don't need money to hang out with your kids and be a good dad. You don't need money to do a lot of things. And it was a good lesson. And I really learned like how to have peace in the storm and that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, what's that lesson worth? A lot. Well, probably whatever you spend on the investment. You know what I mean?
Unfortunately, it was worth a lot of money. I wish it was worth a little less.
I was actually hanging out with some guys the other day, and it was interesting. One of the guys brought up, he said, I don't think some of you guys have ever realized how difficult it's been to like be around so many guys that are succeeding financially when you're not. And he was talking about that. And I'd never really considered the thought of how much it was driving his own behaviors, but he said it caused him to not want to go for it in other ways, not want to date. He thought he wasn't worthy of going after a girlfriend until he got his finances in order. And you see these stupid tweets and things like that that'll say like, you know, if you are broke, you have no business dating or things like that. And it's like, well, no, like the worst thing you can do is attach your self-worth to financial situation, right? Because it's so different for everybody anyways. What's a lot of money to one person isn't to somebody else. And so I think ultimately though, I always say if your biggest problem is financial, that's a good thing because that's the easiest one to fix. It really is a formula. You learn something that pays, you learn how to do it well, and then you do it a lot. Like that's literally how you make money. That's it. And there's so many ways to do that. That's how you get rich as a doctor. It's how you get rich as a lawyer. It's how you get rich as a salesperson. That's how you get rich as anything. And so it's literally a science. The art of fulfillment is much more difficult. That's like, how do you be happy?
Yeah.
Right? How do you find fulfillment in your life? And that's much, much more difficult to figure out.
And I think that's what I figured out in the freaking fire. Like, going back to my story, getting out of the NFL, having a marriage that, you know, we were in a rough patch, man. We got married super young. We had no idea how to communicate. I had no idea what vulnerability was. I had no idea what empathy was. So she was going through stuff, and I'm like this meathead football player. Like, why are you crying? Get over it. We don't cry. Like, dude, come on. But
God bless her for staying with you.
I know, right? She's dude. Love you, Ash. Thank you. But yeah, we were going through it, and then at one point we had two people pass in our family. My wife's little brother passed away in a ATV accident.
Damn.
They were on a family vacation and he took a corner a little too fast and rolled
Literally rolled an ATV. Dude, I almost broke my back doing that. I had to go to the hospital. Same thing. I tried to turn too quick on an ATV, come down a hill. I don't think people realize how quickly they flip and how aggressive it is. I thought I broke my back. I couldn't move for 20 minutes, dude. Like it was scared the shit. It was like a month before my mission. I thought I was paralyzed, dude.
Yeah, it was really traumatic, man. It was really heavy.
Oof. Was she there on the vacation?
She was there. I was here. That's the hard part is like our marriage wasn't in a good place and I didn't want to go on the family trip. So I stayed home. Regret that. And she called me and I was out fishing, fly fishing on the river by myself. And I remember I got the call and I hopped in the car and just drove straight to Colorado where they were. And by the time I'd showed up, he'd been life flighted to the hospital and he'd already passed. And that rocked our world. And, you know, I was married into the family. It's my brother-in-law. He was like a brother to me. But, my mother-in-law lost her son. She had to come home from a vacation without her kid. My wife lost her brother. Like, that was completely unexpected. He's 16 years old. So that's actually where my son, Bo, where he got his name from. He was born right in that same time. But yeah, so we were mourning that. My NFL dreams come to an end. Shortly after that, one of my cousins passed away. He had heart problems, and he was 26. He was like my big brother growing up. So that was just boom, boom, boom. My faith was just unraveling. Had a lot of questions that wasn't getting answers for. That is a whole thing in its own. So I was just really depressed, dude. It was a dark time.
How'd you get out of it? Frankly, I don't even like saying get out of it anymore, by the way. I think it's one of those things that we learn to manage, and sometimes we manage it so well that it feels like it has gone away forever. But so I'm going to reframe that question and say, how did you learn to manage it well?
I didn't manage it well. What I did was I suppressed all feeling. When there's the death of my brother-in-law and my cousin, I think I cried one time for probably 5 minutes. I wiped my tears and I was done. I prioritized really well, in my mind, or compartmentalized, sorry, wrong word. I compartmentalized really well, and it was just out of sight, out of mind. So that's how I handled that. My marriage stuff, it was just if it was an athlete, we don't quit. We just go, 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 go. And so honestly, we just survived. We didn't resolve anything. And then there was just this black box of trouble that we didn't touch. That was just, we don't talk about these things. We don't go to these places. This is off limits.
By the way, what's crazy is our parents and grandparents, they just did that for their whole lives. Yeah. They never got it fixed. I can look at my own parents and my grandparents, and that's what they did. You just don't go there. I've tried to go to places with my mom, and it does not go well. And I've learned now, Jimmy, you no longer need to go there. Go get your healing somewhere else and just love her. No more trying to fix the past. She is not going to understand the feelings that you need her to. But because she's been able to, and God bless her, she had to survive, right? And I think I had to get a better understanding of why she had to do that. But that's what a lot of them did, dude. They grew up in wars and depressions, and freaking your brother goes to Vietnam and comes back some weirdo that had to, shoot a bunch of people and all this stuff, some heavy shit. I haven't had to deal with anything like that, It's
no, we have so many resources today to
yes.
To learn, whether it's social media, YouTube, there's a
coach's breath work, all the above, you name it. There's so many ways to get help or healing. Yeah, even dude, I'll give you an example of how it looks from a healthy standpoint. My best friends, I'm going to cry, but yesterday came over, and my buddy's wife was 14 months pregnant with a little girl, and the baby lost a heartbeat. And he came over and he told me, he's just bawling, and I'm just hugging him and holding him and his wife. And, our friends, we've been checking out, just came back from over there again. But it's we can just hold emotion and not need to fix anything and not need to have any expectation of anything. But we know how to help each other. We know how to work through feelings. We're all expressing, yesterday he was sad, today he's angry. We're talking about their feelings, but we're we have all these tools. We've been able to learn all these things to be able to, in a healthy way, process this trauma that just happened, Yeah. And so I don't know, I'm just grateful for it. I'm grateful that's why I started the program. Is I want to help people that don't know how to open up their feelings. I know how I was shut off to that forever and not be able to process these things. My favorite thing about We Are the They is you are truly safe in that container to talk about stuff and to open up your feelings and to be held in a way, more emotionally than physically, but just to have people truly care and be able to honor that for you. And it allows us to not have that black box hanging over our lives. Yeah.
Well, and that, what they're going through, that's beautiful that they are able to feel it, because they deserve to. They deserve to mourn that. They deserve to give themselves grace to, to have people gather around them to really feel and be heard, you know, like when you suppress it, like you're not giving yourself what you need. And I don't know, sometimes you need a tantrum. Sometimes you need a scream. Sometimes you need a cry. If you just suppress it, like, I know it seems like the macho thing to do. I know it seems like you're avoiding the pain, but feeling the pain is really a beautiful thing. And it's so necessary.
It's one of the things I love about breath work. I did a session May 2 years ago, with a guy one-on-one with my coach at the time, Stefanos. And dude, I had suppressed this experience from my first high school girlfriend that I had never allowed myself to feel. And I'm just bawling as I think about this experience. I'm literally bawling for like 20 minutes, dude. And it was like releasing, and it was so healing. It was so good for me. And I was able to just humanize how shitty I had been and how unempathetic I'd been, right? Yeah. And how judgmental I'd been of her and all these things. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like, God bless her. Like, what a beautiful human. And here, I just wasn't able to give her the love she needed. And, you know, and I was just a dick. Like, there's nothing crazy. I just wasn't a good boyfriend, but she was trying so hard. She would write me a poem every day, dude. She would like dress like purposely, like she would pay attention to the littlest things I said. She really loved the shit out of me. And the reason why, I'll just tell you the story real quick, but the reason why I was such a dick to her is because she kept trying to dry hump me. And like, I was so Mormon, like, that I thought she was the devil. And so she was from Seattle. She'd moved to Utah, and I called her Seattle Slew. It's like the name of a horse. And like, we basically called her a slut and all these things. And all she was trying to do was literally love the shit out of me, dude. And I hadn't thought about that. I'd never even like processed how shitty I was. And dude, and she literally really loved me. Like, and I look back at it, and I literally was just bawling. I'm like, I wish I could tell her like how beautiful she is as a human. And she's got like 6 kids. I'm not going to call her, write her a letter or something. But the point of it was, that is something that was locked up in me that it took breath. I didn't know what was in there, and it just freaking came out. And as I humanized that whole thing, I was just like, oh my gosh. But how many of those times in, you know, our parents' generation have they ever been able to process hurt and trauma and pain and all those things? They didn't. They just put it away. Yeah,
but how cool of an awakening for you to be able to view that the way you do now. Like, how much of the way we think, how much of the problems that we have come from just programming, whether it's religion, whether it's our parents, whether it's society. I don't know. It could be anything.
I know. I thought in my mind I was being righteous. You know what I mean? Right. It was like, that's wrong. I'm going to make it bad. And gosh, dude, like, to look at it from another lens now, you're right. I mean, it's beautiful to like be able to just, you know, change my view on that.
It is wild, man. Like, it's just crazy how our perception of the world it's just ours. like, I don't know how to properly explain what I'm saying, but like, 2 people can be doing the exact same thing and have a completely different experience. I was trying to explain this to my brother Tyson. You know Tyson. We were at Beto's a couple weeks ago. We were playing golf and went to Beto's and got burritos. And I was like, it's like this burrito, dude. It's just a burrito. Like, I can take a bite and think it's disgusting and hate it and never come to this place again and go write a bad review. And my reality is really negative towards this. You could take a bite of the same burrito and think it was the best burrito ever, and this is your new spot. Like, our perception of things is 100% that controls our actions, that controls our reality, how we feel, how we do things. And so it's wild to think, like, in your story here, you thought you were the good guy.
Yeah.
At one time.
I did. Like, I was so righteous. I forgot to put the self before that word. But
you look at it from another lens and you're like, oh my gosh. Like,
I know. I was like, oh, I'm the villain in my story. Well, I've had so many times where I thought I was so right, dude. I had one not that long ago where, you know, me and my brother had a beef for a couple of years, and bro, for the first about year and a half, I was 100% sure he was the asshole. And then again in breathwork, actually, it came to me and I'm like, oh my gosh, he is loving me in a way that no one else could. And I'm like, And I saw his beauty of all of it, how he was doing it. And it was like, I had this new respect where I just had to give him props. I'm like, he's so far advanced in him. I've had every coach and training and mastermind in the world. I don't know shit. I'm like, he just loves in a way that I am not capable yet. And it was so cool. And it's like, just changed my whole perspective on it. And so anyway, but yeah, I mean, well, here's a eye-opening thing. Like every single person that we know sees a different version of us. Like every single person we know sees us differently, which is wild to think about, right? And so whatever we focus on, we feel. That's a Tony Robbins thing again. And so it's like, what do you want to focus on? Do you want to focus on the people that don't like you? Do you want to focus on people that don't understand you? No, like you have to learn to shut those people out and, you know, like really pour into the people that you make you feel good.
It goes back to what you're saying earlier. Like you get to choose your experience, if you will. Like it's all your choice. And I remember I used to hear guys like Tony Robbins say that, and different people say it on social media.
You don't know my story.
What the fuck is this guy talking about? You get to choose what? like I'm pissed. You know what I'm saying? But then I guess what I've learned through all that stuff I went through is, and maybe framing it this way helped, but like, what's the point of all of this? Like, what do we know for certain? Like that we are here, we exist, that we feel emotions, and that we like to experience happy things, right? We like to experience things that feel good. If that's the point, is just experiencing, then why don't we just choose to experience the good things? And if they're hard, why don't we choose to put a spin on it that makes it something good? Why don't we choose to make a lesson out of it, or to see the mirror, what we need to learn out of the situation, instead of be a victim to it? Like that's the only way to frame it in my mind. That's like,
well, this is a secret to life, dude. Like you get to a point where there's no bad days. There's just learning moments. You're, this is going to be something I don't like this, but you know, we're going to take something away from this. One thing I love that Tony does again is when people get into that victim mindset, you know, and kind of to what you were just saying, he goes, hey, you can be a victim. He's like, how does that serve you? Like, how is that helping you? Because it doesn't. So you can keep that mindset. You can feel like a victim. Sure. Like people will fight so hard for their story. They want so bad to be in that spot. And it's like, that's great. And the harder you fight for your story, the more you get to keep it.
Yeah.
But like, ultimately, you know, it's one of my favorite quotes. It's like, well, if you're so smart, why aren't you happy? So it's like, you can be smart or feel this way or whatever else it might be. But ultimately, how are you choosing to look at things so that you can live in a peaceful state?
Well, that's such a big concept in general. Like peaceful state, I think, is one aspect of it, but the story you tell yourself in your head is that makes your reality. Like I truly believe that time and space will meet you at whatever story you're telling yourself in your head. If it's a victim one, you're going to continue to get things that put you as a victim. My favorite people to think about with this is people that I played football with, the great ones that I played football with. And for a long time, like there was probably jealousy around how good they did, and you know, ego tied in there when we were playing together. And then since playing, I got to become their fans because I saw how they worked. So, I mean, you know, like Fred Warner and Kyle Van Noy, Sae Tautu, like these are all guys that at one time I played.
Shout out, I've had all three on the podcast.
Hell yeah. But I'm walking with a good crew then.
Yeah,
dude.
bro, I got you.
But these are guys that I've been able to watch how they prepare, and I've been able to watch their mentality. And let me tell you what, Kyle, Fred, and Manti, I'd love for them to confirm this for me, but just from my examination of them and watching them do the thing they do, they knew they were going to be great.
Yeah.
A long time before everybody else did.
Yep.
Fred walked with a confidence that was, I'm the best guy in this room. I'm the smartest player in this room. I make the biggest plays in this room. Kyle did the same thing. Manti did the same thing since we were kids. Like that story repeated over and over and over and over again for years and years and years and years. That's why they're so freaking good, dude. And like, I can look at myself, and my story was I was going to go to the NFL. I told myself that in my head the whole time, and it was just like this goal of making it to the NFL. Well, I did, and that's all I got. You know what I'm saying? So I really think, and that's like total anecdotal evidence.
No, it's everything, dude. Everything that we create in our reality was first created in our heads. And if you don't believe that you deserve something, if you don't believe that you're the best at something, if you don't deserve that you can do something, it's not going to happen. I'm helping a buddy with something right now, dude. And I've just told him, I was like, dude, this is happening because we've already decided it. Now it's just figuring out which route is going to get us there. And I'm going to keep firing bullets till this gun's empty, dude. We're going to figure this out. And it'll be like the greatest, I can't even say what it is yet, but it'll be like the greatest chapter of the book of my life if I can even be a small part of helping this. And I just told him, I said, dude, just count on it. I promise you somehow, I don't know how this is happening. And anyway, it's another story for another day, but that is the mindset you have to have. And just having that mindset, by the way, there's like 10 things that like you could be like, this might be able to help him. 5 of them have already happened. Like it's happening. Gun to my head today, if it works or not, I would say yes. If you know, and so it's like, I don't know. I just believe that. I've seen it too many times in my own life when, you know, and people, you'll look back and you're like, how the hell did I pull that off? But you just believed you could.
Well, and I'm starting to learn like when there's a purpose and it's clear. I mean, this is like Think and Grow Rich. The first time I read that book, I was like, what the hell does that mean? I had to read it a couple times, but like, if there's a purpose, if you can visualize it clearly and there's passion surrounding it and emotion surrounding it, like, dude, the stuff, you're a walking testament of it, man. A lot of the stuff you've created, I don't think you knew what it was going to be when you started creating it, but you had a passion and you had a purpose and you knew what that was, and it was powered by emotion.
Yeah, 100%.
And look at what, like you're changing lives. The ripple effect of that is massive. Like, look what you've done with real estate. Look what you're doing. And, you know, we won't get into it, but look what you're doing now. Like, it's pretty freaking amazing. Well,
there's actually, dude, I actually learned that formula from, again, I'm quoting Tony way too much on this podcast, but dude, the guy's figured everything out. But he has this system called the RPM, the rapid planning method. Have you heard of this? And it's basically what you just said to the T. He said, first you figure out what you want to do. Like, get clear. Like, this is what I'm trying to do. He said, then you have to create the emotion behind it, the why, right? Really create emotion. Because if you don't have emotion, that's a car with no gas. Yeah. Like, you have to truly fill that thing up every day with emotion. And he said, then you literally just map it out with a massive action plan. Like, very detailed what you're going to do. And then you just start working the plan. Yeah. And because you have the emotion attached to it, you don't mind working the plan. If you work the plan long enough, some plans take a month, some take a day, some take 10 years, but you work that plan, you do get the result that you want.
Well, and then I think that's where faith comes in. And like growing up the way I did, like I always thought faith was just believing in things you can't see and, you know, God.
Faith that there's God, sure.
But I've learned now faith is taking that action plan and just not worrying about the how, but trusting that those actions, that intent, that's enough. And then the things are just going to fall into place. And they freaking do. It's the most wild thing. They freaking do.
They do, man. It's crazy how often they do. Dude, I had a cool moment 2 weeks ago. I was with our 6th group down in Lake Powell of We Are the They, our 6th leadership group, and your 2 brothers are in it. You got them both in. Appreciate that. Of course. And dude, we do this exercise where the last night I have everybody around the fire, all 50 guys, and everybody takes a turn. We honor somebody in our life that's been our biggest mentor or helper, a person that just saw us or whatever, just the person that we want to honor in that circle. And then you tell us about them, and then we all say their name, kind of just in an energetic thing to send them love into the circle. And both your brothers said you, man. Just so you know, you make a very profound impact. I think a lot of those challenges you went through, a lot more people were probably watching how you handled that, how you came out on the other side of that, how your relationship is now with your kids and your wife and everything you're doing. And so it's one of the reasons I know you're just more than you probably even realize, dude. You're just a natural leader. And so I just thought you'd like to hear that.
Yeah, I appreciate you telling me, man. That means a lot to me. Those guys are, I don't know, I think ever since I was little, that's been my biggest role is being a big brother, you know.
What a cool role, dude. So I'm the youngest of 5 brothers, so I'm on the other end of that. So I know how much I look up to all my brothers, dude. And my life got so much easier and so much better because of those brothers. I got my buddy Chris, and he had more talent than any of us in baseball. His first time he tried to bench press as a sophomore in high school, he threw up 310. He was the fastest guy on the team. He was built like a freaking middle linebacker in the NFL. Damn, dude. And he ended up I think his sophomore year, he hit like 11 home runs, like first team All-State, got invited to one of the 3 guys from Utah to go to the national showcase. Anyway, long story short, his senior year, he barely played. And I asked him one time, like, because he just didn't have anyone to help him. And he said, gosh, dude, I just needed an older brother. And he's like, I needed someone that had been before. And like, nobody took this dude under his wing. Our baseball coaches sucked. And so like, unfortunately, he didn't have anybody to show him how to do it. He actually got too big lifting and he lost his flexibility. And as a baseball player, you have to be able to.
Oh, for sure.
And so all these things that he punched a wall and broke his hand. It's just a couple of, but like, he didn't have older brothers, man. And like that day has never been like when he said that, he's like, I just wish I had older brothers. He's like, people that could have shown me the path. So kind of cool.
Yeah, it's interesting as you're telling me that. I realized like, yeah, it would have been nice to have an older brother making some of these mistakes and guiding me. But I think I've taken pride in that role. Yeah, like
you get to be.
I'll learn the hard way. I'll make the mistakes. I'll take the beating. I'll do whatever. And yeah, as part of being a brother, like I'm not going to let you guys make the same mistake. That's why I put them both in Watt, is because especially Tyson, my youngest brother, he's like 25. He's single, good looking dude, just life of the party, has no real responsibility yet. Sorry, Tyson, you're still awesome. But he asked me, and I really like, I think my favorite thing is that my brothers trust me, and that means everything to me. I'll never do anything to ruin that. But they trust me and they come to me for advice, and that's super meaningful. And he came to me and he started making some money, and he's like, hey, what do I invest in? And I was in the middle of losing my ass on that investment. I was like, don't ever ask me that question again. I will tell you, I would recommend go invest in yourself. And like, I'm part of Jimmy's group. I've loved it. It's helped me in a bunch of ways. If that calls to you, then jump in this one with me. If not, then go find something else, but spend that money on you and figure it out.
That's great advice.
And he's like, all right, set me up on a call with Jimmy. And I warned him too. I was like, I don't tell this to everybody, but Jimmy's a fucking salesman, dude. Like, like if you get on this call, he will close you. so make sure this is what you want to do. And he calls me like 20 minutes later. He's like, he closed me.
Well, it's such an easy pitch because I believe so strongly in it, So it's just like, I'm just like, dude,
I've sent you probably, 5 or 6 people.
Yeah.
But every time I'm on the phone with them, I'm like, look, I'm just going to tell you my story and you can choose what you want to do. And then it sells itself. There's not even a sales pitch. I mean, maybe once or twice I've been like, what if it's not good? What do you lose? A couple bucks? Like, you'll make it back. Take the risk. No, but I really appreciate what you've created. It's super meaningful, man. It's making a big difference in a lot of people's lives.
Thanks, brother. Well, I appreciate the way you show up, man, and the way you help just elevate everybody in your life. So for people that want to follow you or whatever, what's your Instagram? Or?
Yeah, my Instagram is just my name, Sae Tautu 31. That's really all I got is Instagram.
That's good. That's all you need these days, bro. Well, I appreciate you again, man. This was fun. Love you, brother.
Hey, I love you too, man. Appreciate you having me on.
Thank you again for listening to the Jimmy Rex Show. And if you liked what you heard, please like and subscribe. It really helps me to get better guests, to be able to get the type of people on this podcast. It's going to make it the most interesting. Also, want to tell everybody about my podcast studio, The Rookery Studios, now available in Salt Lake City and Orem, Utah. If you live in Utah and want to produce your own podcast, we take all of the guesswork out of it for you. We make it so simple. All you do is you come in, you sit down, you talk, and leave. We record it, edit it, even post it for you. If interested in doing your own podcast, visit our Instagram and send us a DM, Rookery Studios, or go to our website, therookerystudios.com.